U.S. speed skating team has two best hopes against a powerful South Korean team that took 3 of a possible 4 golds in Torino. Apollo Ono and J.R. Selski, an 18-year-old world champion in his first Olympics. Speed skating is all about force and movement, what in physics are known as Newton's first 3 laws of motion. Selski and George Tuthill, a physicist funded by the National Science Foundation, explain.
It is the fastest self-propelled sport in the Winter Olympics. Speed skating.
When we're at full speeds, we're up to speeds of, 35 or 40 miles an hour. It's pretty crazy for us when we're going that fast to be able to keep the speed and to be able to pass and maneuver around other people at the same time.
Which is what makes short track speed skating part sprint on ice, part demolition derby.
In this sport, if you do bump into somebody, you're more likely to get disqualified.
To win the race, a short track skater has to follow the rules of the sport and the laws of physics. Newton's first 3 laws of motion, starting with the start.
When the skater is poised at the start, coiled up and ready to go, that skater is at rest. There's no tendency to move. Newton's first law tells us that an object at rest will remain at rest unless there's a force acting on it.
J.R. Selski is a U.S. Olympic short track speed skater.
What we do is we dig our front foot in with the tip of our skate and plant the back foot in with the whole blade.
The skater sets the blade into the ice, leans over, digs in his skate, pushes straight back, and accelerates forward.
Which brings us to Newton's second law.
Newton's second law of motion says that when a force acts on an object, it produces an acceleration of that object. It changes the object's motion. Right there. Second law of motion, force on an object produces an acceleration.
The greater his mass, that's the sum of all matter in his body and equipment, the more force Selski must generate to accelerate down the track. And Newton's third law explains how that works.
The third law of motion is sometimes stated as for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if the skater pushes on the ice, exerting a force on the ice, then the ice pushes on the skater, exerting a force on the skater. The harder he pushes, the more rapidly he'll accelerate down the track.
Like a sprinter off the block.
You know, it's more like a track start. We basically take 4 or 5 steps, just planting our feet solid, solid, solid. It's just like running, except we got these long blades on our feet.
Propelling the skater faster and faster straight down the ice. And according to Newton's first law of motion, Selski, an object in motion, will tend to stay in motion, will keep moving in a straight line, unless some forces move him in another direction, say around a turn.
That force comes from the skater pushing on the ice to the outside of the turn so that the ice can push the skater to the inside of the turn.
Turns are tight.
We're doing a complete 180-degree turn around a radius that's really sharp.
To make tight turns, short track skaters push on the ice so hard their blade edges bite into it, etching tiny trenches for the blade edge to ride in around the turn, so it doesn't slip and skid across the slick track surface, which usually works.
Can he do the same? No, he goes down! Lee goes down!
The winner of a short track race, the skater who makes best use of all 3 laws of motion to cross the finish line first.